Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada, Jaya Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. Bhakti Vedanta Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Today we are reading from Prabhupada's Leela Mrita, chapter 25. Our master has not finished his work. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. With Brahmananda, Prabhupada discussed the urgent problem of obtaining a permanent visa. Prabhupada had repeatedly extended his visa ever since he had entered the country in 1965. Now, immigration officials denied him any further extensions. He did not want to leave the US, but the only way he would be able to stay would be to get permanent residency. He had applied, but so far with no success. Your government doesn't want me to stay, he had said. So I may have to go back to India. Swamiji's going back to India was a frightening prospect. His disciples had barely been able to accept that he would leave them for preaching elsewhere in the US. If he were to go back to India, they feared that they might fall back into the material world. He was sustaining their spiritual life. How could they go on without him? And Prabhupada felt the same way. Brahmananda managed to find a lawyer to delay the proceedings of the immigration office. The threat of deportation passed. Prabhupada spoke of going to Montreal and getting permanent residency there, but his main intention was to stay in America and cultivate what he had begun. Prabhupada ki jai. Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Janavallabha, Jaya Girivaradari, Jaya Girivaradari. Jaya Yashodanandana, Jaya Brajajana Ranjana. Jaya Yashodanandana, Jaya जय यमुनातीरवनचारी जय कुञ्ज बिहारी जय यमुनातीरवनचारी जय कुञ्ज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायण नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये नष्टप्रायेषु अवृदेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, the creation of the fourth order, Chapter 30, the activities of the Pretas, text 43. Please repeat after me. Maitreya Uvacha Iti Prachoto Birabhistuta Hari Pritastatejaya Saranaya Vatsalaha Achintam Yanam Arpita Chaksusam यायो स्वधाममपवर्गवीर्यः प्रभु मैत्रेय उवाच इति प्रचोद्योभिरभिस्तुतो हरि कृतास्तथ्ययाः संवत्सलः अचिन्तन्यानामत्युतचक्षुषम् यया स्वधामापवर्गवीर्यः मैत्रेय उवाच इति प्रचेतुभिरभिस्तुतो हरि प्रीतास्तथाय शरण्यावस अचिन्तज्ञानमतिशक्तिशाम् ययो स्वधामानपवर्गवीर्यः मैत्रेय उवाच इति प्रचेतुभिरभिस्तुतो हरि प्रीतास्तथेत्याय शरण्यवत्सलः अचिन्तज्ञानमतीतचाक्षुषम् यायो स्वधामामपवर्गवीर्यः माताजी मैत्रेय उवाच इति प्रचेतुभिरभिस्तुतो हरि प्रीतास्तथाय शरण्यवत्सलः अचिन्त्यतानायानमत्युतचक्षुषम् ययो स्वधामानपवर्गवीर्यः word for word synonyms Maitreya uvacha Maitreya said iti thus prachotobhi by the prachetors abhistuta being praised Hari the supreme personality of Godhead Pritaha being pleased Tatha so iti thus aha said Saranya to the surrendered souls Vatsalaha affectionate Achichatam not desiring Yanam his departure Atpitaha not satisfied Chakshusham their eyes Yayo he left Swadharma to his own abode Anapavarga Viryaha whose powerless is never defeated. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. The great sage Maitreya continued, My dear Vithura, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the protector of surrendered souls, being thus addressed by the Prachetas and worshipped by them, replied, "May whatever you have prayed for be fulfilled." After saying this, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose powers is never defeated, left. The Prachetas were unwilling to be separated from him because they had not seen him to their full satisfaction. Purport. The word anaparvaga virya is significant in this verse. The word ana means without, pavarga means the materialistic way of life, and viryaha means powerless. The powers of the Supreme Personality of Godhead always contains 6 basic opulences, one of which is renunciation. Although the Prachetas desired to see the Lord to their full satisfaction, the Lord left. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, this is an exhibition of his kindness to innumerable other devotees. Although he was being attracted by the Prachetas, he left. This is an example of his renunciation. This renunciation was also exhibited by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he stayed with Advaita Prabhu after taking sannyas. All the devotees there wanted him to stay a few days longer, but Lord Chaitanya left without hesitation. The conclusion is that although the Supreme Lord has unlimited kindness for his devotees, he is not attached to anyone. He is equally kind to his innumerable devotees all over the creation. Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunnilitam yena tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manubhishtam Stapitam yena bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Yatati Swapadadikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagarjatam Sahagana Raghunathikam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Harijana Samhitam Shri Krishna Devam. Shri Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchani Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanustuti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatrupyascha Kripa Sindhu Vayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtai Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namo Hare Devi Gauravani. Hare Krishna. So before I begin the class, I'd like to seek the blessings of the Vaishnavas gathered here and on the Zoom platform. Please bless me so that I can repeat what I've heard and read from the previous acharyas with no addition or subtraction at my end. I've taken on this service under the instructions of senior devotees and my spiritual master, and I execute this service for their pleasure. So over the past week, we have been reading and hearing how the Prachetas have learned how to satisfy the Supreme Lord by chanting the Rudra Gita. As a recap, the Prachetas, upon being instructed by their father, set out to perform devotional austerities to please Lord Krishna before taking charge of the kingdom. Knowing this, Lord Shiva arrived before them to guide them in the devotional service of Krishna and thus taught them Rudra Gita. After chanting this Rudra Gita for 10,000 years underwater, the Prachetas attained the darshan of Lord Vishnu, who blessed them in various ways. Now in today's purport, Srila Prabhupada mentioned the powers of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which always contains 6 basic opulences, which are strength, fame, wealth, knowledge, beauty, and renunciation. Now, since Krishna is the beneficiary of all our results, Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasham, so why is Krishna known to be a renounced person? So he's called renounced because he's not attached to anything in this material world. In Bhagavad Gita chapter 9, texts 9 and 10, Krishna mentions that the material manifestation is created and annihilated merely by his supreme will. In this purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that the Supreme Lord, although aloof from all the activities of the material world, remains the universal supreme director. Similarly, although his position is the enjoyer or beneficiary of all Vedic sacrifices, he's always detached, since he's already full within himself. Now, the example Prabhupada is given here is a high court judge. So by his order, so many things are happening. Someone is being hanged, someone is being put into jail, someone is given a lot of money, being awarded a huge amount of wealth. But the judge is neutral because he has nothing to do with any gain or loss. Similarly, the Lord is always neutral. So also in the purport of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, text 78, Srila Prabhupada states, Krishna's acceptance of the post of a charioteer for Arjuna was an exhibition of Krishna's opulence of renunciation. Although Krishna is full of all six opulences, at the same time, he exhibits the highest renunciation by sometimes taking a subordinate position to his dearmost devotees, or by sometimes detaching himself from his loving associates in Vrindavan. So in this purport, we also have Prabhupada has mentioned that the renunciation exhibited by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is the pastime where Mahaprabhu, after taking the sannyas order, meets Advaita Acharya at his home. Now he stayed there for a few days, and many of his associates, including his own mother, Sachi Mata, gathered there to meet Mahaprabhu. And Advaita Acharya held a 3-day festival with congregational chanting and serving prasadam to all the associates who had gathered there to take darshan of Mahaprabhu. At that point of time, Mahaprabhu decided to leave for Jagannath Puri. And when he mentioned that and he started his journey, everyone present started wailing and crying at the thought of not seeing the Lord anymore. Mahaprabhu didn't very much care for the roaring tumult or crying at the house of Advaita Acharya. And people around may criticize, worldlies, moralists may criticize Mahaprabhu for being very cruel, but the Lord did not care for such criticism. As the teacher for this Krishna conscious movement, he actually showed that a person seriously engaged in Krishna consciousness should not be affected by worldly affection. The best course is to engage in rendering service to the Lord, and one who gets entangled with worldly affection is not going to make any progress in Krishna consciousness. So as Mahaprabhu has personally shown, one cannot properly execute Krishna consciousness without being neutral. Now, a similar incident also happened where Mahaprabhu showed his renunciation was with Gadadhar Pandit. Now, Gadadhar Pandit is the most dear associate of Lord Chaitanya. Mahaprabhu had so much affection for Gadadhar, and that he could not be without Gadadhar Pandit even for a moment. Gadai and Nimai were inseparable childhood playmates, and another name for Mahaprabhu is actually Gadadhar Prananath, the life and soul of Gadadhar Pandit. Gadadhar Pandit actually took the renounced order of life and went to Jagannath Puri to be with Mahaprabhu. Now he accepted the Kshetra Sannyas, which means a renunciate who never leaves the dham. And the other thing that he did was he served Tota Gopinath deity with full love and devotion. This is what Gadadhar Pandit did. Now at one point, Mahaprabhu was leaving for Vrindavan. Gadadhar Pandit was very upset because he just couldn't bear the thought of leaving Mahaprabhu even for a second, the association with Mahaprabhu. So Gadadhar Pandit was willing to renounce his sannyas Kshetra vow. Just by maddened by the thought of Mahaprabhu leaving, he was willing to break that vow. And he told Mahaprabhu that wherever you are going is Jagannath Puri for me. So let my Kshetra sannyas go to hell. Mahaprabhu asked Gadadhar, you remain in Puri and engage in Tota Gopinath's service. But Gadadhar said that one who renders service to Gopinath 1,000,000 times is equivalent to just seeing Mahaprabhu's lotus feet. So just to get Mahaprabhu's association, Gadadhar Pandit gave up his life's vow to engage in Gopinath's service. So this kind of loving affection, we common men cannot understand, and it can only be understood by confidential devotees. Actually, Gadadhar Pandit's behavior was very pleasing to Mahaprabhu, but the Lord, who came to take this position as exemplary devotee, told him off by saying, you wanting to go with me is simply a desire for sense gratification. In this way, you're breaking two religious principles, which is one of them is the Sanya Kshetra vow, and the other one is to serve Tota Gopinath. And because of this, I'm very unhappy. And if you want my happiness, you please return to Jagannath Puri. Now, this news was not very well taken by Gadadhar Pandit. And Mahaprabhu just left immediately from that spot after saying this. And Gadadhar Pandit fell down unconscious. However, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was there and he pacified Gadadhar Pandit, saying that even though Mahaprabhu is tolerating separation from you, he has protected your vow with great endeavor. So actually, Mahaprabhu was experiencing greater pain here in separation from Gadadhar Pandit, but he remained neutral and detached. The renunciation shown by the Lord in these instances is basically to favor the devotees. Now, Prabhupada has mentioned in his text that unless one experiences separation from the Lord, one cannot come close to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The desire to see Krishna can only be intensified when you are in separation from the Lord, as shown by the Prachetas and another personality, Narada Muni. We'll just talk about Narada Muni now. So Krishna actually arranges for the devotees to see him and thereafter to come closer to him by giving them some sort of a separation. And this actually happened to Narada Muni. Now, as you all know, Narada was born as the son of the maidservant, and he was inclined to do devotional service because his mother had a great opportunity to serve pure devotees of the Lord. And at 5 years old, Narada had the opportunity to take the remnants of the sadhus who were at his place and hear them speak on transcendental subjects. So because of these two activities, Narada was able to move forward in his spiritual life. And the sages showered their blessings on Narada Muni. And Narada went through a vital transformation thereafter, right? He became intoxicated with God consciousness. And he began meditating. And after of course, he left home after his mother's death. And he began meditating day and night. And he became a wandering mendicant thereafter. So one day during Narada's meditation, the Lord appeared within his heart. And he was able to see the form of the Lord in his heart. Tears of love flowed from his eyes as he gazed upon the Lord's beautiful form. But soon after, the Lord disappeared from his vision. Now, there is no mechanical process to see the form of the Lord. It completely depends only on one thing, which is the causeless mercy of the Lord himself. We cannot demand the Lord to come and be present in front of our vision, just like how we cannot demand the sun to appear before us or to rise whenever we like. The sun rises out of his own accord, and the Lord, being pleased with us, will be present out of his causeless mercy. So Narada Muni actually taught that the Lord can be seen again. By the same process which he did was meditation, he was successful in the first attempt. But in spite of his utmost endeavor, he could not make the second attempt successful. At that point of time, Narada then heard the Lord's voice, telling him that it is not possible to see the Lord if one is not completely pure. And the Lord also told Narada another thing, He has shown his form out of kindness and to increase his longing for him. So now Narada started meditating on the form of the Lord more intensely than ever. His hearing and chanting of the Lord engulfed his entire soul, and he became oblivious of the world around him. And when the moment of death came, he was ready. Being freed from all material taints, he met with death. And of course, the transition was seamless because he was thinking of the Lord at that point of time. And then when the material world was again created, Narada was born from Brahma's heart as his dear son. And in this form, Narada had indeed reached perfection. So Narada actually, in his previous life, he exhibited the life of a sadhaka, right? Unless one is completely purified, he cannot see Krishna. The Prachetas meditated for 10,000 years before they could even see the Lord. And even then, it was not to their full satisfaction. So we can get a glimpse of how one feels when he sees the Lord by reading about Dhruva Maharaj actually. Now, because of Dhruva Maharaj had the maturity and because of his mature position in yogic meditation, Dhruva Maharaj was constantly observing the form of the personality of Godhead within his heart. And all of a sudden, when the Supreme Personality disappeared from his heart, Dhruva Maharaj thought that he had lost him. And Dhruva Maharaj became very perturbed. But upon opening his eyes and breaking his meditation, he actually saw the same form of the Lord that he was meditating in his heart right in front of him. In the Brahma Samhita, it says, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochatena. A saintly person who has developed love of Godhead by devotional service always sees the Lord transcendental form of Shyam Sundar. So this Shyam Sundar form of the Lord within the heart is not imaginary. So naturally, when Dhruva Maharaj personally saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead in front of him, he was very much agitated in awe and respect. And it appeared, so this was from Bhagavatam, it appeared as if he was drinking the entire body of the Lord with his eyes. The devotee's love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so intense that he wants to kiss the lotus feet of the Lord constantly, and he wants to touch the tips of the toes of the Lord and constantly embrace his lotus feet. All these features of Dhruva Maharaj's bodily expression indicate that upon seeing the Lord face to face, he developed the 8 kinds of transcendental ecstasy in his body. So as you all know, Mahaprabhu also exhibited all these transcendental ecstasies in his body during when he was either chanting the holy name or when he exhibited these symptoms during Radha Yatra, when he saw Lord Jagannath in front of him. So as you all know, there are 2 stages of meeting Krishna. And the 2 stages are Sambhoga and the second stage is Vipralamba. So what is Sambhoga? Sambhoga is union and Vipralamba is separation. Sambhoga means the Lord is physically present in front of us, personally meeting him, personally embracing him. That is called Sambhoga. And Vipralamba, the Krishna himself taught us what is Vipralamba Seva. Lord Chaitanya taught us in general the method of Vipralamba Seva, which is the method of rendering service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the feeling of separation. Now the 6 Goswamis also taught worship of Krishna in the feeling of the gopis in separation. The Goswamis were always absorbed in the ocean of transcendental feelings in the mood of the gopis. When they lived in Vrindavan, they were searching for Krishna, crying, "Where are you, Krishna? Where are the gopis? Where are you, Srimati Radharani?" They have never ever said, "We have now seen Radha and Krishna." They have never said that. They are always hankering, "Where are you, Krishna? Where are you, Radharani?" Their mission is never remained unfulfilled because they never met Radha and Krishna. That is how their prayers are always. So Krishna Leela is compared to a constant flow of a river. A river has 2 embankments, okay? So the flow of Krishna Leela has 2 embankments. One is Samoga and the other one is Vipralamba. So the embankment is union and the other embankment is separation. The embankment of union is Vrajabhumi. There is no separation there. But in Navadvip, the embankment is separation. So Navadvip Kshetra is Vipralamba Leela Kshetra. Mahaprabhu is always feeling separation in Radhabhav. Therefore, Mahaprabhu went to Purushottama Kshetra, which is Vipralamba Kshetra, the place of crying. There, Krishna in the form of Jagannath is crying for Radharani, and Radha in the form of Mahaprabhu is crying for Krishna. So both are crying, and this is Vipralamba Kshetra. But Vrajabhumi is Samoga Kshetra. There is no crying, only union. So how does Vipralamba cause a meeting with Krishna? Srila Prabhupada said that in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, those under the shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can understand that his mode of worship of the Supreme Lord Krishna in separation is the real worship of the Lord. When the feelings of separation become very intense, one attains the stage of meeting Krishna. So one interviewer actually asked Srila Prabhupada if one needs divine sight to see Krishna. And Prabhupada said, only one thing. You require only one thing, which is qualification. Krishna is always existing, but you require the qualification to see him. Those who are saintly person in ecstatic love with Krishna can see him always, 24 hours a day, they can see him. That is not very difficult to understand. Because if you love someone, you will see him always. You'll be always seeing him, remembering everything you'll be doing. So you need the qualification to love. Then Krishna will be visible 24 hours a day with you and talk with you. So you have to qualify yourself to hear Krishna, to see Krishna, and Krishna is always present. So first one needs to qualify himself before you desire, right? So trying to see Krishna with contamination is not going to happen. It's not going to work. But one should not lose patience in this process. Dhruva Maharaj attained this perfection of seeing the Lord by patiently executing the order of his spiritual master. And therefore, he became so successful that he saw the Lord face to face. The process is perfect, but because of our own disqualifications, we are unable to experience the presence of the Lord. Now, one cannot see the Supreme Lord by making personal efforts. Rather, when the Lord is pleased by the service of a devotee, he himself will reveal, as mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, text 25. I am never manifest to the foolish and intelligent. For them, I'm covered by my internal potency, and so they do not know me who was born and infallible. Now, the Lord always reserves the right of not being exposed to everyone. Devotees who are always chanting in the service, chanting, using their tongue by chanting the Lord's name, tasting Mahaprasadam, and the Supreme Lord is being pleased by such service, and the Lord will reveal himself. So one should simply wait for the correct moment and go on discharging his prescribed duty. The sincere devotee should know that if he goes on being sincere in his service, the Lord will give him the proper direction as to how is it to be done to see him. Just like how the Lord instructed Narada Muni. As Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, don't ask to see God, but rather act in such a way that God will want to see you. We should endeavor hard to cleanse our heart of all the impurities which is coming between us and the Supreme Lord. The Lord is supremely pure, so he can be seen only by those whose heart is completely pure. So to make ourselves completely pure and become eligible to see the Lord and associate with him, Krishna himself appeared as Mahaprabhu to teach us how to do so. How can we get rid of all these impurities from our heart? If our heart is full of impurities, we will not be able to recognize Krishna when he stands in front of us. We will consider him as an ordinary person. Just like Duryodhana. When Duryodhana saw Krishna face to face, but because he was so arrogant and had so much of false pride, all he was thinking of imprisoning Krishna and harming Krishna. And the same thing, Shishupal. Shishupal was Krishna's cousin, brother. But instead of recognizing that it is the Lord himself, he was always trying to insult him. So the fact that this shows that because of the impurities, they were unable to see the Lord. And we all know that Mahaprabhu has taught us, given us that chanting of the holy name of the Krishna is the most effective way by which we can cleanse ourselves and purify our senses. And with the Lord's mercy, one day we will come to the platform to see Krishna. We need to have that firm faith and determination. But we need one important ingredient here to serve and meet Krishna. And an important ingredient is laulyam, excessive eagerness. Not to gain, we shouldn't have excessive eagerness to gain name, fame, recognition. That is not what is required here. But the excessive eagerness is to serve the Lord sincerely and submissively. We should be very eager and actually cry to become so that to be engaged in some particular type of service. This is called laulyam. And such tears are the price for perfection. Now, in the following conversation, recorded in the Journey of Self-Discovery, Srila Prabhupada gives the secret for obtaining this spiritual greed. Someone may ask, oh, eagerness, I have eagerness, I have a lot of eagerness to serve, but that is not so easy. This eagerness cannot be achieved even by executing pious activities for millions of years. If you simply go on performing millions of activities for millions of births, this eagerness is still not available. It can only be awakened by the association of devotees. If one doesn't have the proper association of devotees, this eagerness is not going to be awakened. And Prabhupada said that we are giving everyone a chance to invoke the eagerness so that one day you will get to see God face to face. This is exactly what the Prachetas asked for when they met the Lord. They wanted association of devotees. This is exactly what Dhruva Maharaj asked for when the Lord appeared before him, association of devotees. This is exactly what Gadadhar Pandit and Advaita Acharya were crying for, association with Mahaprabhu and his associates. They are all pure devotees and they had intense eagerness to serve the Lord and to see the Lord, and their prayers to the Lord was just association of devotees. And we all know that association with devotees is paramount. So I'd like to share this quote by His Holiness Jai Pataka Swami. If the devotees feels that I can be Krishna consciousness without the association of devotees, it is a very, very dangerous situation. The more we separate from devotees, the more we bounded by the attacks of Maya. The material world is designed to struggle to exist. So Prabhupada made the situation minimum by having Krishna conscious temples, communities and farm projects so devotees can live in association with devotees. So one thing we need to understand is that we may think that we have the association with the correct devotees, but if our eagerness is for prajalpa or the eagerness is to enjoy our senses, then that association is not really necessary for spiritual progress. And that check only be done by each of us. It's an individual check we need to do. So association is very, very important because if we do not have the correct association, we're not going to get the correct mood for eagerness to serve the Lord. And this entire Krishna conscious movement is basically doing service. And Prabhupada has established such a system that we are constantly engaged in one way or another in serving the Lord. Either we are doing japa or either we are serving in the temple. But the most important fundamental is association. We don't have the right association, then we can come back many births, time after time, just chanting Hare Krishna and not getting the actual bliss and never coming to a position of actually relishing the holy name or even seeing the Lord face to face. Now, the other point that I was looking at was when we were reading the Prabhupada's Leela Mrita. Just give me a second. So when Prabhupada was actually saying that the government doesn't want me to stay, so I may have to go back to India. And that fear itself affected his disciples. At that point of time, they were at the risk of losing the association of Srila Prabhupada. And the same thing, what we're just reading now, everything is all boiling down to one point, is that association. So in conclusion, we should pray to the Lord to provide us the proper association so that we can progress in our spiritual life, develop the excessive eagerness to serve, and one day qualify ourselves to meet the Lord face to face. So with that, I'd like to end the class. Thank you so much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Any comments, any realizations? Anybody would like to? There are no comments, then we will conclude the class. Thank you, Mati. Thank you, Mataji. I mean, just to add on to a point is, I heard in one of the class that we can choose to either be a fly or a bee. A fly goes to rubbish, loves rubbish, or the bee loves to go and pick the honey. So the association that's where the association comes in. If you are attracted to enjoying your senses, if you're attracted to prajalpa, gossip, then you go to the appropriate. Krishna actually knows what we desire for, and Krishna will reciprocate accordingly. So if you want that kind of association, Krishna will provide. If you want an association of devotees that elevates you, that gives you that shraddha, that laulyam, then Krishna will provide. But at the end of the day, we have to ask ourselves, what's our desire? Only we will know what we are desiring for. And Krishna is watching all of that. And Krishna will provide accordingly. And I believe that the eagerness and faith will come if we desire for the correct association, if we are really sincere about progressing, if you're really serious and sincere about progressing. If you take it complacent, Krishna will also give it to you complacent. If you're serious and sincere, Krishna will give accordingly. So thank you for that point, Mataji, about the swan. Yeah. Thank you. Any other comments? Yes. Do you have anything to say?
I was just thinking, appreciating how Prabhupada has given us, so you're saying there's some yoga and this Alama, highest form, Vipralamba is the highest. Though we're all not qualified, but Prabhupada has given that to us from the beginning. From the beginning is chanting the highest form. But we don't understand it, but this guy was given the highest thing in the beginning. That's practice of that. Right. Prayerful, you say, please engage me because a lifetime of forgotten relations.
Thank you for that point. Yep, so our entire movement is actually based on Vipralamba Seva. And like what Prabhu was mentioning, the chanting of the holy name is just like a small child crying for his mom or dad. When the child cries for his mom and dad, immediately the parents will pick him up because the child is crying. So we have to come to the platform where our chanting of the holy name is like a crying. It's like exactly crying to our Supreme Father. Because yes, we have all our material attachments in this world, but there's only one person who's going to bring us back. And under the instructions of spiritual master, and we chant feelingly and sincerely to the Lord will come. And yeah, that's a good point. Thank you. Anybody else? All right, if not, thank you very much. Bhagavatam ki jai.